Hello there YouTube, and for today I'm going to make a quick tutorial on how to make a pretty realistic looking water simulation. Now, it's pretty simple, but you just got to get the hang of it, so here we go. So for the start, I'm going to change Blender Render up here to Cycles Render, because it has better shading and just overall looks a lot better. Now, this lamp right here, I'm going to right click it, drag this out to the side with the arrows. Go over here to the sun icon, and now I'm going to go down here and click sun. Now it acts as a default sunlight. So you can rotate that pressing the R key, X, Y, Z, pressing those keys will change what axes it rotates around. But I want to keep it default. So now that I've done that, I'm going to go over here to the world button right here. And then I'm going to change this color right here to a lighter blue. Now the reason for that is because it's the color of pretty much the sky. And I just want it to look like the sky because, you know, it just looks better. So I'm going to click this cube, select it, and I'm going to go over here to materials. Now I'm going to drag this out a little bit more so it's full. Okay. So I'm going to drag this down. I'm going to delete that. The reason I delete that material is because it doesn't have the properties I want it to. You have to create a new one for cycles. So now that we have this, you can see you have a preview right here. So right here on surface, I'm going to change this to glass. And then I want the glass color to be, say, green. Alright, so now when we render it, you'll see that you have a green piece of glass. Now, it doesn't look anything special yet because we don't have any surroundings for it to reflect or do anything with. So I'm going to go ahead and add a plane by pressing Shift A and then going over to plane through mesh. And I'm going to make this as big as I can. Alright, make sure the cube's not. Right, I'll put the cube right on the plane for not through the plane, but there, that's about right. Alright, so now that we have this plane, I'm going to create a new material. Sometimes I prefer to delete it and then make it again because sometimes for me it glitches out and makes the whole world dark for some reason. Last time I tried recording it, done that, and I had to redo it. But here I'm going to go to Mix Shader. Alright, the reason I'm doing Mix Shader is because I want the plane to have an emitting effect. I want it to emit a certain color. So I'm going to go over here to shader. I'm going to change that to glossy. And then I'm going to lower that to 0.05. So it's really shiny, but also shiny to look like an exact mirror. And then I'm going to go down here to the other shader and go to emission. Now what this is going to do, it's going to emit a light upwards and downwards all around it to emit, well, just light up everything around it. So I'm going to change the emission color to red. And the gloss color, you can change that to whatever you want. It'll pretty much change the color of the reflections, but I want it to stay to white. So here we go. And I'm going to render it. And as you can see, it's emitting a little bit of red light up, but not so much that it's, you know, looks horrible. So you can see it reflecting down there. And yeah, it looks pretty nice. So let's actually, you know what? For this one, I think I'll take away the emission. I'm just going to make it straight up gloss. Here we are. And 0.05. You can do either one of these. So now I'm going to render it. And as you can see, it reflects it right back onto the surface and it reflects the sky as well. Now I'm going to do that instead because I just feel like doing that one this time. Now I'm going to create a big cube. Now we're going to use this cube as the domain. The domain is what holds all of the water in the simulation. So pretty much no water can get out of this domain right here. So I'm going to select the camera. The sun's fine because it's a global property, more of. Now I'm going to move this out. Alright. Now you're going to want to move the camera to where you can see that the cube is pretty much in the center there. We'll zoom out a bit more. Heck, I'm gonna go. Alright. Now we're gonna render it. Now, I haven't mentioned this already, and if you don't know how to do that, to render, you're gonna want to press F12. Alright. So, now that we have this domain here, it's not quite a domain yet. We're gonna have to select it, go all the way over here to the Physics tab, and then select Fluid. Now you'll see that there's a type selection right here. You're going to bring this up, and then you're going to click Domain. Alright. Let me replace my selection cursor again, because I keep accidentally clicking the wrong button. Alright. Now you're going to go Shift-A, Mesh, Cube. I'm going to move this up. Now, you're going to scale this to what size you want the water drop to be. I'm just going to make a cube water drop that'll drop on top of that cube right there. I'm not going to do too big of one, because the bigger the fluid object, the more memory it'll take up, and the longer it will take. So, here we go. Now, what you're going to want to do while this cube is selected, which is going to be your water drop cube, you're going to, again, select fluid, but this time you're going to bring this up and select fluid again. Now, I'm going to do volume because that's really all you need if you're using a square shape. Okay. Now I'm going to right click this domain again, make sure it's the one selected, and then you're going to go down right here to bake. So once you click this, the water will start simulating, and as you can see up here, it shows the loading bar. Now what you'll notice that the domain disappears as soon as you start rendering this. So once this domain starts baking the process, you'll see that this square is now rounded off a little bit. Now you're going to take the square that looks like the fluid that's all curved off, beveled, and you're going to click smooth in the shading tab. Now right now it looks not that good at all, but when you're zoomed out with the camera all the way out here, you can't tell that much. So now I'm going to right click this. Now this is the old fluid volume that we were using. I'm going to take this and drag it beneath the plane. That way it's not visible in the rendering or anything, since it's already baking. Now the baking is already almost done, and when you go down here to the animations tab, you'll see that as you move it along, you can see the fluid starting to simulate and used as an animation. Now you do not need to finish the whole thing. Once you're satisfied with the length of it, you can go ahead and go up here and press this X, because it's already flattened out and the main sequence is done with. Now I'm going to reverse this down up here. Alright, now I'm going to zoom out and show you how it really doesn't make a difference at that distance. Alright, now I'm going to press F12 and render it. Now as you can tell, the fluid looks like milk right now. It doesn't look so pretty. I'm going to right click the fluid, I'm going to go over here to the materials tab, and I'm going to click new. Now we're going to do the same thing as before, but this time we're just going to go up here and click glass. And then now we're going to go over here and slightly, do not overdo this, just slightly, ever so slightly tint it. Because if you do it too much, it starts looking cheap. And see right there, I might have went, it depends on your preference, the purity of the water and whatnot, but you barely want to move it at all. Alright, so I am happy with that. It's not going to make much of a difference once it's in there. You can do different previews if you want to. But alright. Now the IOR, what that does is pretty much changes how much the water warps the surroundings. So right here it's at 0. I'm going to change that to 0.1. Or I'll change that to 0.3. Now, sometimes you're going to have to move it around and experiment with it to see what you really want. And sometimes, like me right now, since I haven't experimented with this much, I'm going to have to check this cube again and see the value of it. So this is 1.450. So I'm going to go over here. Sorry about that. I'm still sick. I'm going to change that to 1.450. And actually, I think I might leave it at that. I could do 9.5. Nope, a bit too much. Alright, 1.5. Now I'm going to render it, and behold, water. I'm so sorry, I'm just really, really sick right now. Okay. So now what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go over here to this camera. And you're going to want to set the render presets. Now, for most people, I'd recommend, if you have time, I'd do 1080p because it's really, really high quality. But for now, I'm going to go down here. Now I'm going to do Xvid RGB. And I'm going to set the render device to GPU. If you don't have a GPU or if you have one and it's not very good and your CPU is better, just keep it to CPU. Alright. And that's all I'm really going to do for this. Now you can experiment with these settings yourself personally. Right here you can change the frame rate, but it tends to take a lot of time to do this. You'll be able to see after we get started. So then you're going to click animation, and it's going to begin rendering your animation. Now it does frame by frame, and yeah, it's going to keep rendering this. And then where the animation is going to appear, I might as well go ahead and show you. You're going to go into your hard drive right here, and you're going to go into temp. And no, not temp, but TMP. The temp was from my NVIDIA. So right here is an older animation that, wait, no, never mind. That's one that's processing right now. Sorry. But here's some older images that I had made, just messing around. Pointless ones. So once it's complete, this file will be your animation. And yeah, it's almost done. Well, it's not almost done, but I mean it's almost done with the main sequence part, like where it splashes. So as you can tell, it looks pretty neat. So I'm just going to sit here and let it render for a bit. If you want, you can skip forward in the video. That's up to you. You can watch this render with me. Now, after this renders, I'll go ahead and show you a unique way, like, not really unique, but a cool way to make this look very realistic and just make a simple image out of it, like a wallpaper. But we're going to wait till this renders here. Now, as you can tell, the water still looks slightly blocky. You can change that by going over to the physics tab and increasing the resolution, final resolution of the water. You'll be able to see what I'm talking about if you go to that tab right now. Well, not right now because it's rendering, but whenever you're done. Or if you're still waiting to go ahead and do the process while watching this. But this is one of my favorite things to do in Blender just because it's pretty realistic and really accurate and neat. So it's getting close to being done with the main splash, which I'm going to end it there because I don't feel like waiting for the whole thing because I've done this a bunch of times. It's almost there. We're at 70 frames. So as you can tell, it's still reflecting the water on the surface, and yeah. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and end this now because it's, already done with the main part, and the rest is just little ripples waving through it. They're pretty cool to look at. I'll just wait a couple more frames. Because wait for those ripples to dissipate a tiny bit because it looks pretty cool still. Alright. Alright, so now that that's done for the most part, I'm going to go ahead, go to my files, and when you open this, you'll be able to see that your animation plays. So there you go, your first water animation, if this is your first or semi-realistic one. But, alright. I'm going to go ahead and choose a frame right here. Or I could zoom back, depending on what frame you really want. Choose a frame that you want to save, like one that looks neat to you, one that strikes your eye. And what we're going to do now, for that one thing I talked about, making a realistic photo or wallpaper, whatever you want to make it into. I'm going to make mine into a wallpaper. You're going to select this. Now you're going to make sure this is still pulled out. You got to go over here to the Tools tab right here. Now, you're going to apply the fluid simulation. Note that after you apply this, you will not be able to go back. You cannot edit, you cannot play your water simulation ever again until you remake it. So I'm going to click apply. I'm going to go over here and I will do subdivision surface. Now I'm going to set this to 3. Now for some other users, you might not want to set it to 3 because if your computer isn't high end, because your graphics card and CPU might not be able to handle it as well. So I could even go to 4 if I wanted to, but it doesn't make much of a difference. It starts making it laggy. So I'm going to go ahead and click apply since that's done. Now I'm going to go over here to smooth. So this is just basically going to smooth things out. Now I'm going to increase the repeat to about as many as you want until it... Okay, this is... I'll just do that right there. I'll set it to 4. Now I'm going to set this to whatever it looks like it's going to work. 0.9 to the factor. Alright, so as you can tell now, it looks pretty smooth. When I go into edit mode, you'll be able to see all of the vertices and lines and everything, and holy crap. So yeah, there is a lot of vertices here. So now I'm going to go over here to the camera again. I'm going to go to render presets, HDTV 1080p, and let's see. Right here, since you're only doing an image, you can make it pretty realistic via the settings, which I think right now are already going to be pretty good. Now, with the X and Y, if you set the resolution even higher, X and Y wise, you'll be able to make even 4K images if you want, which I used to do often. So all you have to do now is either just press render, but first you're going to want to change this to PNG. Alright. Now, render for me doesn't export out, so instead I'm going to click animation and let it render one frame. And it'll render it out and output it as a PNG into the temp folder. So as you can tell, you can zoom in still and it looks pretty neat. Alright, so that one is done. I'm going to go ahead and press escape. And I'm going to go over here. And here you go. Here is your image. So yeah, that is how to make a semi-realistic water simulation. Thank you for watching. Please like if you like this video, comment, subscribe if you like my videos, and I'll see y'all later.